Hello and welcome to another edition of Andy's Shed Live. This is Series 7, episode number 43 for Sunday the 29th of November 2020. Hello everybody and welcome to the show. Yes, it's getting near the end of November, last weekend of the month. And Christmas will soon be here. Oh my God! But here we are for now. It's Sunday, and so as it's Sunday, it must be time for the live show once again. Which also means it must be time for me to have a little look on my device here and make sure we can actually see the chat. Which make a nice change if I can. Yeah, I can see it. And Dominic's here already in the chat this evening. Hello there, Dominic. If you want to join us on the live chat, we are on YouTube on the live chat on there. Of course, if you're watching this after the fight, sorry you can't join the live chat, but if you're watching on YouTube, you can watch it back. But if you're watching on our website, then I don't think you can at the moment. But I'll tell you everything that's in the chat anyway. So. No need, you don't need to actually look at it. Fat Hobbit's here as well. Hello, Fat Hobbit. Yeah, so there's 6 people here all together, but I don't know who the other 4 are. They've not said hello yet. If I don't mention you, it's because until you actually say something in the chat, I can't actually see who you are. I've just got to alter the chat around from top chat to live chat, so I can see all the messages. And Spig's here. Hello, Spig. And yeah, lots of people here tonight. And that. As always, if you want to get in touch with us here at the show, and you're not watching live, the way to do it is through our website, and the web address is here coming up momentarily. There it is, andyshed.corepress.net. That's the website, and it's having a bit of an upgrade at the minute, the website. So there's new stuff appearing on it, but it's the place to go to catch up with our back episodes as well. Is that website, and we're in the process of launching at the minute a shop where you can buy all your old telephone bits, and eventually be able to buy other things there as well. But there's just various telephone spares and that on there at the moment. Here's the shop. It's andysemporium.corepress.net. That's andysemporium.corepress.net. Okay, got that? You have? Marvellous. That's great. Right, it's a quick show tonight, a fairly short one tonight. If you've got any questions or anything about anything tonight, if you want to ask us anything, tonight's the night to do it. Get on the chat, ask away, and I'll answer all the questions that I see. Let's put it that way, that come up in the chat. But hopefully it'll not move too quickly, so I'll be able to see all of them, all being well. And that. One or two of you, sorry, excuse me, have sent us photos and things in this week, including Dominic, who has sent us photos in fine style. He's actually put them on a Flickr. Is it Flickr feed, I believe it is. And there's lots of them. And so this is just some of Dominic's photos. Apparently, can I make them bigger? How do you make them bigger? Does that work? That's worked for me. I'll see if it's worked for you in a moment. Yeah, it has. Right, that's marvellous. The technology, wonderful when it works. Might make it bigger still. Yes, it will. Cool. So this is what it was talking about the other day, and Jimmy's just joined us as well. Hello, Jimmy. Yeah, this is what Dominic was talking about. I think it was last week, wasn't it? He's got this box on the wall, and inside the box is a bell set. And what's that other bell that's up there as well? That looks like that could be a telephone bell. I think he said that's got something to do with his doorbell now, but does look awfully like a telephone bell, that. But that's the bell set 25, 26, something like that. I bet it's a 26. Bet it's a 26. That's on the wall there. And there's a closer view of it. It's in very good condition as well, that box. And it's also got the special screws, I can see there. It's got those special screws with the slotting, which I believe are the ones for mounting it. It's got slots on the edge and a hole in the middle, which are the ones for mounting it under a telephone, if you want to. So it's got the special telephone mounting screws in it, which they don't all have. So that is pretty good. That's quite a nice thing, that. And what we've got here? We've got a 746, an early style 746 phone. If you look up here and you look at the line there, you can see it's one sweeping line down under the handset, which means it's one of those cases they didn't make for very long. Now they say, these cases, they say that you can put the handset on the rest and not get it on the rest properly and miss the switch hooks with the handset. And I have to say, I've tried to do that and I can't do it. So what they say about these cases, I don't think it's particularly true, because I can't miss the switch hooks with it. I'm totally find it totally impossible to do. But I've tried and tried and tried and can't do it. But they thought you could do it, the GPO, and so they changed the design. So they weren't around for very long at all. And there it is, and you can see underneath it, it's interesting because it went back to be refurbished and came out again in 1981, according to the little sticker there, the little red sticker. And it came out from having been refurbished, and it has still got that Mark 1 case on it. That's interesting. I would have thought they would have changed that. So that's interesting that it still had the Mark 1 case. What it's not got, of course, it's not got the alphanumeric dial bezel, which it probably originally did have at 1969. So that maybe got removed in the refurbishment, maybe it was moved before. But again, a nice example of a red 746, an early 746. I know it looks a bit pink in that picture, but it's the way my computer settings are, and I'm sure it's actually a red one. Right, moving on and kind of moving backwards in time a bit, we have got a very nice looking, well, as far as I can tell from the photo, it's a 706. Now, this is where it gets a bit tricky to tell, of course, because you never know if it's a 706 or a 706 clone. But looking at that, it looks like it's a genuine 706, I would say. Maybe the next photo will tell us. But it's a nice one from the mid to late 60s with the chevrons on the dial plate there and the alphanumeric dial bezel, and that looks like a proper bezel as well. That's actually clear plastic with the markings printed on the back. And interestingly, it's got the early style feet on it. Now, if it's got the early style feet, what date is the actual phone? Dominic, what date is that phone? Oh, it says the bell sets are 26. In the chat, it says the bell sets are set 26. Just reading the chat here as well. Dominic says he had a Mark. It says that phone, that red one, had a Mark II case when he bought it, but he found a Mark 1 case to make it more original. Ah, so when it got refurbished, this is the red phone he's talking about. That's this one, isn't it? So it got refurbished with a Mark II case. So you've put it back to having a red case. You ought to put a number bezel, a lettered and bezel on it then, Dominic, as well, because I think that would probably have had one originally. That. Right. So, what's this black one then? This black one is 1963. Right. Okie dokie. So that was about the year that a lot of things changed in 1963. That's around about the time they went from making the bodies of them out of Diacon to making them out of ABS. That's around about the time they started putting the little chevron things on the finger plate behind the finger wheel. These little things. Previous to that, it was blank. And it's around about the time they also changed the feet to the sort of hollow feet. But you've got the very up to the minute chevrons there. But it looks like you've got older feet on it. And it's made by Pye of Cambridge, apparently. A nice one. It's also nice that this white patch here that's got the stamp on it, that is legible, because they are very rarely legible when you find them on a phone these days. So that's quite a nice one. We are now inside the handset of it. So it's got a matching 40 insert in the handset, match 63.1, so it's made at the same time, so that's obviously the original one. And we've got that as well. Now that's an interesting thing, because I associate those with Bakelite phones, not with 700 series. So question is, did it arrive with that on? I wouldn't have thought it would have. I don't know the history of this phone, but if it's always had that since you've had it, Dominic, I would guess that it got wired in to somebody's house who'd previously had a Bakelite phone. The engineer couldn't be bothered to change it because that was already screwed to the wall probably, so he just wired the new phone into the old box, and then when the phones got took out later, somebody's took the box with it. That's what I'm guessing. Don't know for certain. Don't know for certain, rather. Certain. Right. I'm just catching up with the chat now. Fat Hobbit says, do you know where the Viking Exchange was, Dominic? Yeah, good question. Where was Viking? Viking? It must be a place. If it's an exchange name, it must be a place. But I've never heard of it. Dominic says it was near Greenford. Near Greenford. Right. So is there a place called Viking? I'll have to look it up. I'll have to look it up at some point, that one. Right, we'll move on and do a few more of these. Right, what we got here? Grey 706. Interesting because it's got the light grey dial bezel to it. But if you look very closely at that dial bezel, look just there, it looks to me like that's not a coloured plastic one that they normally are. That looks as if that might be one that's painted grey on the back. Would I be right there, Dominic? Because it's a flat one. So it could be a clear one painted grey on the back. It's not one that locks in, it's a flat one that you put in with a metal ring on the back, and there's 4 things on the ring that hold it in. You can see one of them there, one of them there, and one of them there. So that is quite unusual to find that. Now somebody was on here the other week saying the darker coloured dial bezels that I always thought were what they normally had were a late addition for the plain ones. It was something they did later, but I thought it was something they did at the beginning. But apparently it's something they went back to later, and in between, in the between years, between the beginning and the end sort of thing of issuing 706s, this is what they did. They did a dial bezel that matched the rest of the phone. Right, so moving swiftly onward, and we are now on to a green 746, again a Mark 1. I can't really say much about that. That is pretty standard, looks good, nothing wrong with that at all. I'd say that's exactly as it should be. Quite a nice example, that. Quite like the green ones. From 1973, yeah. That, if that's the original case on that from 1973, that must have been very much near the end of the Mark 1 case. I don't think the Mark 1 case went much further than 1973. But there it is. And then we're on to a trim phone. Now this is a nice looking early trim phone. You can see this because it's got the alphanumerics behind the dial there. Later ones just had numbers. That is a nice clean looking trim phone. The problem with trim phones is they break across here. The handsets often break across here. But that is quite a nice example of a trim phone. Has that been restored, Dominic? I'm asking him because he's in the chat. Has that been restored, that trim phone? Because it looks too good for its age, that. Because they do sort of yellow and go a bit funny, that particular colour of trim phone. But that one looks like it's just come out of the box. And there it is again. Very nice example of an early trim phone. Yes, he says he's restored it. And there's all the info underneath it. It's a 722L, which means it's got the lettered dial from 1968. And that's, I'm assuming that's the board inside it. Lots and lots of spaghetti inside a trim phone. But the actual terminals correspond exactly with a 706 or 746. It's interesting because you've got a resistor in there, Dominic. Now, I'm not sure if trim phones need a resistor because the resistors are in the bell circuit to stop the bells using so much power, but of course the trim phone hasn't got a bell, it's only got a warbler. So, and I don't think that warbler would use as much power anyway. So, whether or not the resistor is needed in a trim phone, I don't know. When you've converted the trim phone, I don't know if it properly needs a resistor in it, a trim phone, or not. If it didn't have a resistor, it would certainly need a link across there from T4 to T5. But I don't know if it needs a resistor if it's a trim phone. I really don't know the answer to that. If anybody is more technically minded than me about the number of ohms that a trim phone warbler uses, please let me know. I'd be interested to know the answer to that one. It says there's an extra blue wire to the ringing board. Right, I'm just trying to see it and sort it out. That's the one that would normally be there, that blue wire. That one is normal. That's the one that would go to your handset. Where's that blue wire off to, though? That one there. Where's that one going? Is it a trim phone with a switch? Let me go back. No, it's not a trim phone with a switch, because some had a switch on the front here. It's not one with a switch, but I'm wondering if that blue wire was to turn the bells off or something. Yeah, I don't know. Where does it go then, that extra blue wire? Oh, Dominic says he parked the extra blue wire onto the spare terminal. Where does the other end of it go though, Dominic? Where's the other end of that blue wire? This one. You see, he parked it on there onto a spare, but where does this end go? It looks as if it nips off under the circuit board somewhere. I'll wait for him to reply. I have to wait for him to reply, because there's a bit of a lag on things with it all going through YouTube. It says it goes directly to the ringer board. So why are there two? Do they both go to the same place on the ringer board then? Does the one off T5 and the extra one that you parked, do they both go to the same place on the ringer board? That's interesting, that. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a picture in a minute. I haven't gone through these pictures. I'm seeing them for the first time, just like everybody else is. What's that there? With a square drawn round it. So is that something that's not going anywhere? Oh, it's the end of the... Yeah, that, with the square drawn round, that is the end of the resistor, isn't it? It's the end of the wire with the resistor. It's just gone round that screw. Right, so now we're seeing the ringer board. And, okay. And now I'm trying to sort out what blue wire is what now. So that one goes around there, around there, around there, around there, and disappear. And it goes onto there. Right, so that's that one. So where does a normal one go? The normal one is to your line. Yeah. Well, is that not normal to have those wires go like that? Am I missing something here? There's a blue goes up to your dial. And then there's something goes to the ringer. So, other 722s, he says, don't have this blue wire. That's interesting. I've not got one to hand, but I will definitely after this go and open one up and I'll go and have a look. Because don't most have 3 wires that go there? Are we saying, and Dominic, you think most trim phones only have 2 wires that go there? That blue one, that one there. That one is not normally there. There's normally only 2 wires there. That's interesting. Because there's a grey one going in there. It goes to there, that's fine. And there's a brown one. I'm wondering if it's something to do with it originally having a switch. But there's no sign of a switch in it, because it would be down here somewhere if there was a switch in it. But I wonder if it's something to do with it having a switch at some point. I don't know. I don't know. I'll have a look inside one and see if I can figure that one out. But it is mighty odd, that. Right, and here it is, glowing now. Now, do you want to explain in the chat, Dominic, how you did this? Because this is the last photo as well, I think. Because various people have tried to do this, have tried to make a 722 glow. Again, of course, originally they did glow. Originally, at night, they did look something like that. Maybe not quite as bright as that, but they did glow. Because there was a tube, a sort of semicircular or almost circular tube, sort of 3/4 of a circle, behind the dial, that was full of something called tritium. And tritium is a slightly radioactive material that glows in the dark. You know, we've all seen things like The Simpsons, haven't we, where the joke is about the nuclear power station and everything glows in the dark and stuff. Well, tritium actually does glow in the dark, but it's got a very short half-life, which means all the trim phones that originally glowed now don't glow anymore, because the tritium has basically died over the years. So how was this done? Dominic says it's a C-shaped card placed over the tube with glow-in-the-dark paint. So it's that paint that you charge up, then, is it? That so you painted a bit of cardboard that you stuck in there with this glow-in-the-dark paint that you charge up with a bright light. Then when you turn the lights out, it glows for so long. How long does it glow for then, that? Because it's actually pretty good. I think you mentioned this some time ago that it did this, but I didn't realise it was that good. How long does it do it for? Must not last that long. So, but it wouldn't last overnight or something, would it? Or would it? I don't know. Certainly an interesting way of doing it, that. I do quite like that. It says it lasts for about an hour, but it will faintly glow overnight. Cool. I'm going to ask now, Dominic, before other people do, because people are going to ask about this, I'm sure. Where do you get that paint from? I'm sure people are going to ask about that, because I've never seen a trim phone glowing that well. That's that's the best I've seen one done. I've seen people try and do it with LEDs and that, but I've never seen it come out quite that well. It's Aurora Paint on Amazon, apparently. Apparently it's Aurora Paint on Amazon. I might have to have a look for it. Might have to try and find some Aurora Paint. Let's have a look, see what I can find. See if we can find it, shall we? This Aurora Paint. Let's have a little go. Here is Amazon. Aurora Paint. Pouring acrylic paint. I'm seeing it. Nowhere does it say it glows in the dark though. Is it this stuff? Pouring acrylic paint, Aurora 4-piece set. Oh, is it that? Glow in the dark paint. Aquaris. Spig says he just got some glow paint from eBay to do exactly this. Everybody's onto this before me, aren't they? That looks like that's probably it. That's certainly glow in the dark paint. Or do these others glow in the dark as well? I've got no idea at all. And there's some. Oh, four pieces, 60mm acrylic pouring. Doesn't say it glows though, that. By Space Beams. There's that one then. That one's by Space Beams. So it's this. We think then. This. $9.99. Bright aqueous glow in the dark paint. How brilliant is that? It's the sort of stuff they use on like emergency exit signs and stuff like that, isn't it? That's the kind of thing it is. Very strong, unique, bright aqua glow colour, light blue turquoise. Glows all night after a short charge from light. UV flashlight is best. Non-toxic water-based paint, non-flammable. Included lifetime access to exclusive VIP stencils. For use on paint, wood, glass, fabric, metal, plastic, etc. indoors or outdoors. Varnish over when using outside. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Might have to try it. Says you'll want the green one though. You know, I don't know what colour trim foams used to glow. I know that they used to glow. Got no idea what colour they glowed. No idea at all. I've just always kind of assumed it's vaguely green, but I don't know for certain. But that's brilliant. So anyway, thanks to Dominic for sending in all those photos and that. They are on his Flickr feed. So I'm just sorting my computer out. on his old flicker feed there. But yeah, that's brilliant about the trim phone. That's just really good. That I'm very impressed with that. I like it a lot. How cool is that? Of course, I don't think we're ever going to be able to get a tritium tube refilled, are we? So yeah, I think that's probably the best you can hope for to make a trim phone glow. Speak says, can you tell me about your PABX? Right. What can I tell you about it? I very nearly got another one out today. I thought about getting another one out today to demonstrate it, so I'll probably do it next week. I nearly got a Panasonic one out today. It's not connected to anything. I can hold up and demonstrate it. But the PABX, I can actually possibly show you this one now, because I've moved a load of stuff. So you'll have to forgive the spaghetti wires though down here, because I'm in the middle of moving things around at the minute. But if I can get this camera, and will this work? Let's have a look. Now this camera, right. So there it is. There is the PABX. That is the thing on the wall that does it all. And there's just a load, you can see there's loads and loads of wires all over the shop down here. But basically, if I take, this is what they call a BT Revelation, and it all wires down the side there on chrome strips, which is a standard thing for BT, and then all those wires come out the bottom. So all these connections here, there's 4 connections for each one, are all either exchange lines or they are extensions. Okay, so what I've done, it can take up to 3 incoming exchange lines, I think, this unit. So what I've done with it is, below it, you can just see down there underneath it, I've mounted a load of master sockets. They have to be master sockets, and they are connected, those 4 master sockets down there are connected to 4 of the extensions, and they have to be master sockets because they need to have the capacitor in them. So mounted on this bit of board, I've got the whole thing mounted on, there's 4 master sockets down there, which are the first 4 extensions on the system, which are 21, 22, no, they are 20, 21, 22 and 23. They are. Well, 20 is this system phone here that I use to program the whole thing if I need to. That's 20. 21 is this phone here on the desk, which is a 706 clone. 22 is normally this American phone on the wall here, and 23 is normally this green 746 down here. And I say normally because there's nothing plugged into 22 at the minute, if you look, because the American phone on the wall is plugged at the minute, if you follow that wire across, straight into a little silver box up there, and that is a Grandstream ATA. And what the Grandstream ATA does, that connects the phone via VoIP, and that is connected up to CNET, so I can dial into CNET using that phone on the wall there. So if anybody rings me on the CNET system, which is this basically a telephone network for preserved telephones and stuff, it's that phone up there that rings. And you can see, still sat on the windowsill there, still waiting for cords and things and some work doing on it. There's the old 150 there. But that American phone rings on CNET. If anybody calls you on CNET, so that is the thing. That is the PABX. Now this one is a British Telecom one. It's a BT Revelation. This. But there are others. Panasonic 616 is a good one, because that can cope with pulse to tone as well. I think this Revelation, I think it cost me either 10 quid or 20 quid. I can't remember exactly. Can't get that back on now. But that is basically what it does. Right, let me put the camera back up here before I mess it up. Spig says, does it need programming? You can program them. They don't generally need programming. You can normally set them back to default settings, default factory settings somehow. You can normally do something to set them back, and that will allow you to do most things. If you just connect them up to a normal phone line, that'll be fine. But because I wanted to define that what the 3 incoming lines, where they came from and where they went to and what phones they rang, I programmed it using the system phone that you saw there. You can always get a system phone for them. You get a system phone for these. Panasonic have their own system phones for their ones. If you buy one, basically try and buy one with at least one system phone with it, so you can program it. Jimmy says, Andy, you must be very clever to be able to sort all those wires out. No, Jimmy, to be honest, I can't sort all those wires out. This is why they're all in a mess like that. I've put them in one at a time, and they've just all sort of tangled themselves up, as they do. It's a bit like when you put your headphones in your pocket. You know your headphones. You sort of fold them up, put them in your pocket, and magically in your pocket they sort of get tied up, and you can never unfold them again. That's what's happened to those wires down there. Dominic says, I gave The Crown on Netflix a go, and there were some real phone clangers on the show. Margaret Thatcher had a model 2500 US phone and a compact phone had a model 500 ring. Oops. That's The Crown for you. Yeah, it's sounding like The Crown. Who makes The Crown? Is it made by? No, it's made in England, isn't it? The Crown. Is it made here? I don't know. It's Olivia Colman, isn't it? The Crown. No excuse for it's made. If it's made in America, if it's made in Hollywood or somewhere, they've got an excuse for getting it wrong. But I'm sure it's made here. The Crown. I don't actually know. I'll have to find out about that. Just bear with me a minute. I'm just going to put this cover back on here because it's bugging me. The thing is about this, there's a lot of wires when you put this cover on. There's a lot of wires because you wire this up on the inside that have to go sort of on the inside of the whole thing, and the problem is they often won't. Right. There's a lot of wires you have to get in a small space on a BT Revelation. That's one of the problems with it. But it's been sat down there, it's been working for 3-4 years, maybe more. Yeah. So it's been going quite a long time. But I would recommend either one of those or a Panasonic 616. There are others as well that work. You just have to get them that work with pulse dialing. Just make sure it will do pulse dialing. Ideally you want one that will convert pulse dialing to DTMF as well for dialing out that, because then you can connect it then up to little ATA boxes like my yellow phone is here at the minute, and then you can go out over VoIP over the internet rather than going out over a copper phone line. So yeah, you want one that does DTMF out to the outside world, which both the BT Revelation and the Panasonic 616 can do. Jimmy says, in The Crown I've seen Princess Margaret using an ivory 706. The Queen had one as well. Yeah, I think that's probably alright. Did we have a photo the other week of the actual Queen using an ivory 746 the other week? I seem to remember. But yeah, she's famously thrifty, the Queen. You know, she doesn't have new stuff if she doesn't need new stuff. So I could well imagine that she'd probably still have a 746 or a 706 or a 711 or something hanging on the wall. I can well imagine the Queen would be like that and still have those, yeah. Because she is famously thrifty. She has I saw a photo once of her breakfast tray that her and Prince Philip have. Their sort of teacups and that on for the first drink in the morning and that, and the cups didn't match the saucers and stuff like that. You know, it wasn't a matching set at all. So I can well imagine that she's probably still got a 706 on the wall or something. Yeah, the real Queen, that is. Of course, if it's the Queen on the Crown, she's probably got some American device hanging on the wall, some 500 derived thing. Oops. Yeah. Right. I think we've got to the end of the chat there, and we've basically pretty much got to the end of the show for today as well. I said it was going to be a shorter one today. Got a few things to do, don't you know? Thanks to Dominic for sending in those photos and that. Christopher also sent a photo of a very, very early 706 that he's got. I will get that photo on for you for next week, so I've got to turn it around and things, because I put it into the system today and I've just realised it's turned it on its side. I don't know what it is, but it always turns its photos on this side. So I've got to do something in the photo so you can see it the right way up, hopefully next week. But yeah, he's dug out a very, very early 706. It's worth a look. So we'll try and get that on next week. I'll also try and figure out this thing about this blue wire for you, Dominic, and the trim phones for next week. And see what this extra blue wire is all about. I'll do a little bit of investigating as the week goes on. But as always, if you want to contact us during the week, as I said earlier in the show, get onto the website, which is here somewhere. There it is. andyshed.corepress.net is the web address to go to. And if you want to have a little browse in the shop, there's not a lot in it at the minute, but we are gradually putting more stuff in there. Then the shop web address is emporium.corepress.net. So one is the Emporium and one is the Shed, and it's all .corepress.net. So that's about it from me for this week. Thanks very much to everybody for watching. If you haven't done so already, please click the like button and click the subscribe button as well, and click the little belly notification thing if you want to get notifications of